According to research, public speaking is still a lot of people's number one fear. More people fear public speaking than they do death. Which brings up Jerry Seinfeld's joke, at a funeral, more people would prefer to be in the casket than giving the eulogy. So many people come to me after presentations asking me how they can get over their fear of public speaking. I have many techniques and tactics and skills that I share with people about getting over their fear, but today what I want to share with you is some advice from a friend of mine, Michelle Cleary. Michelle is a psychotherapist here in New York City and in New Jersey, and you may have seen her recently on the Steve Harvey Show. I'm bringing in Michelle to teach us a technique that might help you get over your fear of public speaking. So Michelle, welcome. I'm so glad to hear what you have to say about public speaking and the fears. And before we get started, tell us all a little bit about your background, your business, and what it is that you do.
Sure. I'm a psychotherapist, and there are so many modalities and types of therapy out there. My company is called Dimensional Psychotherapy, and what I do is I combine evidence-based, clinically sound, traditional practices with some less traditional, more innovative interventions.
Oh, great.
I work really hard to combine the mind-body experience with therapy that is safe and effective.
Right. One of the things that I tell my clients, it's simple, but and it can be effective to other people, is that you want to think about what you have to give rather than what people are thinking about you. But I know that there's a technique that we want to talk about today that may not work for everybody, but I'd love to share it with them. You want to talk to us about what that is?
Sure. EFT is something called emotional freedom technique or tapping. And what EFT tapping is, it combines cognitive behavioral therapy concepts with a more Eastern approach in stimulating the ends of the body's energy system, the meridians. So what you do is, via tapping on specific acupuncture points while thinking specific thoughts, you are going to hopefully reduce your anxiety and become much more focused on the task at hand, as you just discussed.
Right. Oh, excellent. So how does it work? I mean, so you said you're focusing on specific things. You want to talk us about what you're focusing on and how EFT works?
Sure. Well, if we're focusing on public speaking and the fear of speaking in front of a large audience, there's probably thousands of thoughts going through a person's mind who's really struggling with this event. I imagine there's thoughts, as we discussed earlier, of failure, of humiliation, of embarrassment, of inadequacy, and how do I look, and what are they going to think, and so on and so forth. First, you want to analyze your level of anxiety. So on a scale of 1 to 10, you want to really become self-aware of how intense is your anxiety. And you're going to say, for some people, it's a 10, I can't do it. I say, okay, let's start with your first and worst fear out of 10. And you start by tapping on this point right here, which is the karate chop point. And you start by saying, even though, and if you want to try it, you can repeat after me, even though I am deathly afraid of speaking today.
I am deathly afraid of speaking today.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Right. And what I do, my personal preference is to switch back and forth. I like to be bilateral. So you start here, and you start with the worst of it. And I'll just repeat that. Even though I am deathly afraid of speaking today, and you really want to go into that fear. You want to evoke that. You want to be feeling the fear.
Right.
So even though I am deathly afraid of speaking today, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then that's the beginning of the sequence. That's the setup. And then you go to the other points. I'm going to fail.
I'm going to fail. Yeah.
And then you say, I'm going to fail. Now I'll just go through the points. This is going to be a disaster. I can't believe that I'm doing this. How could I have been asked to do this? I can't do it. I can't do it. And you're going through the points, and you're bringing up the worst feelings, and you're getting anxious, and that's the whole idea, is that you want to go to your fear and then you go through the points. So the points are set up points here, top of the head, brow point, side of the eyes, under the eyes, top of the lip, the chin, the chest, and then right here on your ribs. And what you do is, now people have preferences. Some people tap lighter than other people. Some people are a little bit harder. Some people do just one hand. I personally feel most of the impact if I do both. Yeah. And then when you go through your first sequence, you bring up the worst of it. And it's really uncomfortable for people because they basically face their fears.
Right.
And then while the acupuncture points are being stimulated, your cortisol level is reducing. So that's the combination of the CBT, the thoughts, the affirmations, going to the thoughts, and the Eastern medicine.
Right, because you're pressuring on acupunctural.
Right, so these acupuncture points or end meridian points are being stimulated. Your body is naturally reducing the cortisol level while you're saying these things that are supposed to be scaring you to death. And then once you go through one sequence of the negative, you start to question it, and you start to introduce affirmations that are positive. So for instance, maybe it won't be a disaster. Maybe I will succeed. I have really good information. I was chosen for a reason. A fumbled word is not failure. I just keep going. I was asked to do this for a reason, so on and so forth. And the point is that after you do your first sequence, or maybe even two sequences, you stop and you really imagine yourself speaking, and then you self-evaluate. Where is my level of anxiety? Has it gone down from that original 10 to a 7? If it's still a 7, you want to go back into it. Go back into those positive affirmations. Really challenge yourself in those positive affirmations. Is this really the hardest thing for me to do? Chances are it's not. If I make a mistake, I have my cards. I have my cards. I have my cards. I have my cards. And you can just tap that through. So right before somebody wants to speak publicly, they can go through a number of EFT rounds, and it could be very beneficial for them.
Right. Does it work for everybody? How does that?
You know, EFT is, initially it's very subtle. If you're really overwhelmingly anxious, where you can't even walk a straight line and you're bombarded, EFT is, you have to look for the reduction in anxiety. So for some people, it may not be effective. The first time I did EFT, to be honest, I was like, what is this? This isn't
exactly,
helping. This isn't helping. And the next time I tried it, when I was a little bit more open to it, I did notice that it was quite powerful.
Right.
And the more I do it, the more of a useful tool it becomes.
Yeah. So it's really important that you want to change in order to feel and experience the change.
Exactly.
You know, because, and I really, really encourage everyone who has a fear of public speaking to try EFT a bit, and you really will say, I've tried it and I really love it. I've spoken to a lot of different people that have used it. It can be very, very, very successful if you are really willing to go through it and do the change. And Michelle has on her site, you want to give us the site?
Sure, it's dimensionalpsychotherapy.com.
And you can go to Michelle's site and you can download a blog post or a PDF that will explain in detail what we just talked about on EFT, right? And I really would love for you to get over the fear of public speaking, because I know that we all have so much to give. Anything else you want to share with us, Michelle?
No, I think we've covered it all. I think it's good advice.
Yeah, great. Thanks. See ya.